This is the official assembly video for the H2GP Pro starter package. Before you start, make sure you have a 3.5mm hex Allen wrench, which can be found in the H2 2.0 box, a Phillips head screwdriver, a 7mm hex nut driver, and 4 AA batteries. Inside your H2GP Pro box, you will find all the parts needed for your car. This includes the chassis, body, hardware, mounting plate, electronics, wheels and tires. First, pull the rubber tire onto the wheel. Ensure the edges are flush between the wheel and the tire. To install the wheels and tires, use the 7mm hex driver to tighten a nylon lock nut onto each wheel and hub. Ensure the treads of the tire are facing in the right direction. They should point towards the front of the vehicle. To connect the electronics, start by placing 4 AA batteries into the controller. Now place the servo 3-prong connector into channel 1 of the receiver. Place the ESC 3-prong connector into channel 2. Then, connect the positive and negative leads of the ESC to the battery. Switch on the ESC and the remote. Try turning the wheel to test to ensure all parts are connected. You should see the servo turn. If the parts do not automatically connect, start by switching on the remote. Then, while pressing the button on the receiver, switch on the ESC. They should now connect to each other. Start by installing the motor cover. Ensure it is oriented in the correct direction and secure with a large headed screw. Now we will install the servo. Ensure the servo is oriented with the white turning piece towards the rear of the vehicle. Secure the servo using large screws in the 2 top holes. We now need to align the servo. Turn on the car and remote. Then ensure the servo is turning. Let go of the wheel to ensure that it snaps back to the center alignment. Now, attach the steering arm so it sits in an upright position. The length of the steering arm can be adjusted by holding the silver center and twisting either side of the arm. Now, snap the steering arm onto the ball joint. Ensure that the wheels are pointed straight forward. Once connected, ensure the car steers by turning the wheel. If the wheels are turning in the opposite direction of desired, open the lid of the remote and flip the switch for channel 1. Once again, ensure that the car steers in the desired direction. We can now install the ESC. First, shut off the remote and ESC. Disconnect the battery to ensure no electricity is flowing in the system. We can now connect the positive and negative leads of the motor to the ESC connectors. Use about half of the rubber mounting tape to attach the ESC behind the servo. Now, connect the battery to the ESC. Switch on the ESC. You should now be able to control the car. Ensure the car can turn and drive by turning the steering wheel and using the throttle trigger. We now need to secure the servo horn using the smaller screw. Switch on the ESC and remote to again test the functionality of the vehicle. The car should now completely run and drive. We will now turn our car into a fuel cell electric vehicle. Inside the H2 2.0 box, you will find an instruction CD and pamphlet, the H2 2.0, 4 hydro sticks, the circuit control board, 2 pressure valves, an alternate mounting plate, and a Phillips head screwdriver. followed by some hardware to install it. To start assembling the fuel cell, take 2 flathead screws and attach the solenoid mounting bracket to the neck of the mounting plate. Ensure you are using the second set of holes. Secure the bracket using the provided 3.5mm hex Allen wrench. Next, use 2 rounded hex screws and 2 rounded hex nuts in the inside holes near the rear of the mounting plate. Start by screwing the nut on just enough to not fall off. Now, slide a mounting angle bracket into the gap between the nut and the mounting plate. Ensure both sides are tightened down so the bracket does not move. Now, take 2 rounded hex nuts and place a washer on each. Position the fuel cell with the silver intake and output valves facing the smaller neck of the mounting plate. We can now use the screws to attach the fuel cell to the mounting brackets. Flip over the mounting bracket so the fans are facing down. Now, use 2 rounded hex screws to secure the fuel cell from the other side. Ensure both sides are firmly tightened. The fuel cell is now fully mounted to the mounting plate. To mount the solenoids, slightly loosen the pre-installed flathead screws. We can now fit the 2 solenoids on top of each other. Place the input solenoid on top of the output solenoid, ensuring the blue exposed sides are parallel to the mounting plate. Once the solenoids are stacked on top of each other, tighten the flat hex screws to ensure the solenoids are snug. Attach 4 rubber tubes to the transparent 4-way valve. Now we can start attaching the rubber hydrant lines. Start by connecting a tube from the output solenoid to the fuel cell. Then, attach 1 tube from the 4-way connector to the input solenoid. Use the 2 perpendicular tubes to attach the silver pressure valves. Make sure you place the threaded cover onto the tube first, then attach the pressure valve. Next, connect the pressure sensor. Ensure you place the tube onto the bottom connector. Finally, connect the other side of the input solenoid to the hydrant system. Double check that the input solenoid is connected on both sides, but the output is only connected to the fuel cell. To attach the hydro sticks, start by loosening the screws on either side of the fuel cell. Place the silver pressure valve into the holder and securely tighten. Do the same on the other side. Now, loosen the rear holder and insert a hydro stick. You can now screw the hydro stick into the pressure valve. Securely tighten the hydro stick into place. Follow the same procedure on the other side. Finally, connect the larger plugs of the fuel cell and controller together. Start by unscrewing the black mounting bracket from the center of the blue support arm. Remove the 2 screws at the front and rear of the blue support piece. Make sure you keep these screws, as we will use them in a minute. Place the fuel cell mounting plate on top of the blue support arm. We can now secure the mounting plate using those screws we just removed. Once secured, we can connect the system. Connect the battery lead to the lead labeled battery on the control box. Connect the ESC leads to the lead labeled motor. You'll need to secure the control unit to the chassis using something like hot glue, mounting tape, or another way of your choice. We can use the remaining half of our mounting tape to secure the receiver to the chassis. The receiver can be placed anywhere as long as it is accessible. Finally, you will need to secure the pressure sensor using a similar method to the control unit. Our fuel cell electric vehicle is now complete. To start testing the vehicle, start by switching on the ESC. Then, switch on the control unit. Proper operation is indicated by running fans with blue LEDs on the fuel cell and a solid green LED on the control unit. Finally, switch on the remote. You are now ready to operate your vehicle.